Hello, 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 hello. It's a beautiful day. Looked like it was going to rain, and and it might rain. It might rain. We'll see. Hopefully not until I'm finished. All right. Good morning. A beautiful day. We had a last night. We Monday night for about a year and a half. I have been hi Preston. For about a year and a half or so, we've been holding a meditation group, and I really went into last night just not feeling it. It was like, oh, I don't think this is appropriate anymore. It doesn't feel right, and it's with and it pretty much made a decision that it would be my last online event. Isn't it funny how we just never know, right? And, and we have to be willing to shift, to change, to reevaluate. So two things came out of last night's. One was that we're going to start next Monday with an invitation to people to come, and we'll do our group right here in my backyard or in my living room, and for those of you that can make it. So that's next Monday, and you're invited. Hi, Toby and Preston. Hopefully, you both can join us. But the other thing that came out of it was that, wow, we had such a great conversation last night. My friend Adrian joined us, and Preston joined us, and quite a few people were there online. So we'll do a combination of the next Monday, the face-to-face, like we used to do when we met in Scarborough United Church, and the online. And so that's it. That was kind of cool. Hey, Chris. Good morning, buddy. So one of the things that came up last night was, there's so much to look at. But Adrian had mentioned that often when we think we want to make a difference and help in the world, what we see around us is a projection of what's happening in our own lives, and often, and so if we feel, well, what happens is that the thing that's giving us the most grief is the thing that we often want to go and help others with, and so that's the thing that we see everywhere. It's kind of when you buy a red Honda, everywhere you go you see red Hondas, and so if you've lost a limb in an accident, you may spend the rest of your life helping people with lost limbs, or in my own case, even where I felt so spiritually most of my life disconnected, or at least craving this spiritual connection, this God connection. What I saw around me was that people in that, feeling that also the need or want to have this feeling of love, connection with God, connection with the moment, and that's kind of what I end up seeing all around me. And so it's neither bad nor good. It's just to recognize that often where we want to help people is with the thing that we need to do the work on ourselves. Hello, Mel. Hey, brother. From all the way down under, brother. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. What do you think of the beard? So just to watch where if we see that around us, if we think that something's out of place or something's not right or something's not working, look at in our own life where that is not working or it's out of place. And if we do the work, and focus on our inner work, it's interesting how the world changes around us, and we see more of the beauty around us as opposed to the problem, and everything really is a manifestation of ourselves. Every one of us sees the world the way we see the world. We haven't made an assumption that often that everybody sees the world the way we do, and it's just not true. We all see it so differently, and we may agree on some things, but we do see it differently. So I just wanted to point that out as just a little watch for. So moving from that, how do you see the world? And for many of us, we see it in the way that it was presented to us in our childhood. And often the world was presented to us in a way that was maybe not healthy, that the world we grew up in was a world of fear, or a world of prejudice, or a world of anger. And so that is ingrained in the system. And many of us feel it, and especially with one of the things that I see in the recovery world. Yes, I see fear for sure, but I see anger. Oh my gosh. And it's a little hard often to identify for the individual if we're just, kind of fundamentally angry. And it's often comes with this idea that we're right, or that somebody has wronged us. And so we carry this, and I did for many, many years, and I have to watch for when it comes up still. It's still in the system. And so I have to watch when ego says, that ego likes to make up stories about, that I'm not getting enough, or that people don't like me, or all of those things. And that goes back to when I was a kid, 6, 5, 7 years old, 5, 6, 7 years old, not feeling like I fit in, going to school and being so uncomfortable. So it's there, and it can be there with all of us, and it has its own stories. So watch for those, and for us in the 12-step world, it's kind of part of step 1, that we recognize that those things are unmanageable by us. We can't seem to change that self-centered view of the world on our own. And that's why we need to have this, we desperately need to move into a full-on connection with a higher power, with God, with the moment, um, and I guess it doesn't happen until we get to a place where we recognize that we need it. You know, we don't think you need it if we're all happy with being angry, or we're all happy with being fearful, or we're all happy with, feeling lonely. Well, then live there, you know, and if you've had enough, you've said, that's it, and with all of those things I just named, we often do something to avoid those feelings. But it's short term. We watch TV, or we eat food to fill ourselves, or we drink, or we do shit to avoid it. But let's try another approach. Let's try the approach of awareness, acceptance. Say, okay, I can be angry sometimes. I am angry. Oh fuck, I'm really angry. And just look at it and breathe into it when it comes up, and acknowledge it. Don't push it away. Just say, okay, look at that, and then ask to have it removed. And as the more we turn to this higher power on a daily basis, the more it becomes an integrated part of our life, the more we are present in each moment. So that's the possibility, is to live in a much higher plane and hang with, this is my, I'm going to do the reading in a second, but hang with the winners. Not that there's winners and losers, but hang with for those of us that are in the 12-step world, get in the middle of the pack. I remember in the early days of my recovery, when I didn't know shit from Shinola, I used to go to 3 meetings a day because I didn't know what else to do. I was, too messed up to even hardly read. And what I didn't know at the time, that I know now, was that those meetings were very high vibration. They were love-based. And so I was going to like 2 and 3 meetings a day often, and they were lifting me out of my anger. They were lifting me out of my fear. And not intentionally, it was just happening because I was sitting in that love. Now, we still have to do the work, but it did lift me up. So if you're feeling that stuff, be with with the winners. The other thing that we can do, because there's so much availability right now to high vibration teachers. It used to be, you had to go to India to find a high vibration teacher. You had to, spend a lot of money to go to workshops, to hang out with people like Tony Robbins or Eckhart, or it's all on YouTube for free right now. It's all on YouTube for free. It really is. And Alan Watts, you can listen to for hours. There's so much. David Hawkins' books are all on YouTube or Audible, and so being in that energy lifts us up. It really does. So those are, my tips, I guess, for today. I swallowed a little coffee in my lung. There we go. Okay, going to read July 7th. This is from this little book called 24-Hour Day Book, and I'm loving this book more and more, although sometimes I will disagree with what he's written. It was written in 1954, the languages of 1954. But my idea of doing this is just exactly what I said, to share on a daily basis something that's uplifting for you and for me. This is good for me too. This really is. So I just love to be able to share with you. So from this little 24-hour day book, even if some of you don't love this book, just take what you can and leave the rest. Okay? July the 7th, thought for the day. We had become hopelessly sick people, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. That's what happens with the addict and the alcoholic. Or even with the overeater and with the gambler. Yeah. The power that controlled us was greater than ourselves. In his example, it was John Barleycorn. That's what they called. That's what they called the booze at the time. Many drinkers have said, hadn't gone that far. I haven't lost my job on account of drink. I still have my family. I managed to keep out of jail. True, I took too much sometimes, and I guess I managed to make quite an ass of myself when I did. But I still thought I could control my drinking. I didn't really believe I was alcoholic. If I was one of these, have I fully changed my mind? And the truth is that if it's hardly something that we need to worry about, because most people don't make it to the 12 steps unless they need to be there. and if they don't need to be there, or they don't think they need to be there, they go away. And often they come back. Often they come back. So the drink brings them back, or the drug brings them back if they're lucky, if they survive. Hey Arnold, hey Brenda. Every morning at around 9 o'clock I read this little 24-hour day book, and maybe have a little chat about life, love, God. And so thanks for joining us. So meditation of the day. Painful as the present time may be, you will one day see the reason for it. You will see that it is not only testing, but also a preparation for the life work which you are to do. Have faith that your prayers and aspirations will someday be answered. Answered in a way that perhaps seems painful to you, but is the only right way. Selfishness and pride often make us want things that are not good for us. They need to be burned out of our natures. We must be rid of the blocks which are holding us back, which we can expect before we can expect our prayers to be answered. So often, what he's speaking about is that many of us are looking for that connection, that oneness, that of living in the moment, of breathing into God in each moment, and our thoughts, our pride, our fear, our guilt, our shame keep us from that. And the process of letting that go can sometimes be very difficult, because we are identified with those things. We think we are that person. We think we are the victim, or we think we are. I love this question. Tell me who you are. Really look at who you are. Because we're not all of what we think we are. We're not what we do for a living. We're not the relationship we're in. We're not our health. So we need to surrender all of that stuff to really be here in this moment, in connection, in oneness with the isness, with God. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may be willing to go through a time of testing. I pray that I may trust God for the outcome. So this is a beautiful little book, and I'm grateful to be reading it on a daily basis. And thank you guys for joining me. And remember, that the possibility that the world is not what you think it is, and what we think it is. Our perception is tainted by our conditioning, tainted by our beliefs, things that we think are true. So be prepared to examine our lives and look at our beliefs, you know, we become what's called self-realized. Yeah. And through self-realization, we see that we are not from our ego, from the small s self, who we thought we were. But we can and realize our connection, our oneness with God. That we, you know, I like what Bill Wilson says in the We Agnostics. He says, God either is or he isn't. Either he's everything or nothing. And what is your choice to be? And that's a beautiful, you know, like, oh, okay. If he's everything, then look where I'm sitting. It's beautiful. Okay? I'm in the lap of God, in the hand of God, in each moment. Pretty sweet. Okay. Love you guys. Have a super duper day. Remember, we're ambassadors of love. We can share and our love in each moment. You know, be with people, just really listen and, you know, have compassion and ambassadors of love, living happy, joyous, and free. Okay, love you guys. Cheers.